Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with American Scouser, brought to you by our friends at Reckless Coffee Roasters. Monday, back in action after my absence on Friday, which we'll talk about Friday. I thought one of my worst impressions of all time was made, but we'll get to that. But the Polish Prince was with us. What's happening?
Gobble, gobble. Good morning.
I think Turkey changed to Turkey because this is the week where I heard approximately 500 Turkey Thanksgiving jokes when I was like in the regular workday life, working with other people, not from home. Yeah, so I think that's why we ended up changing the name to Turkey. Who, by the way, had an awesome weekend. I know it's a sore spot to bring it up with you, I think, because I think your boys are out now.
They have secured a place because thanks to Norway losing or
Really?
drawing, whatever happened, I wasn't paying attention. They have secured a place for the playoff for the final spots for the Euro.
Oh, there's a playoff for this as well?
Yeah. Now I'm excited for the playoff.
Playoffs.
Besides, before it was like Jim Mora, just like you did, playoffs. Talking about playoffs, and now I'm like playoffs. Yeah, we're talking about
You
playoffs.
bring it. This is what we should be. Yeah, it was Turkey was only doing hey, happy Monday is right. It's more like grumpy Monday, as always.
Who is that happy on a Monday? Football
I
flashback.
forgot
What is
it.
it? Are you okay?
He must have won his bets, is what I'm guessing. That's probably why he's happy. But no, it's grumpy as always every Monday. That's how we roll, regardless. No, like Turkey won like an away game against Germany as a friendly. More important than the score is how they're playing and all that kind of like the new stuff. But of course, as I always were with national teams, there are some people out, and you know how it is. I'm sure it's like the same way in Poland. Certain players somehow have a reserve spot, even if they're not in form, even if everybody else is playing well and stuff like that. But I'm worried about like how that's gonna get integrated once those guys get back. But it was definitely nice to see Turkey play like that, I should say.
Did you watch the whole game?
Yes.
I saw the moment. Well, Kai Havertz, was he playing left back actually?
Like a left wing back at one point. I don't know what the hell Germany was doing. And that's another thing. It was an actual Germany. Like everybody was playing. It wasn't like let's try some young guys.
They were actually German.
Yeah,
it wasn't a bunch of people from Polish and Turkish descent that make up their fucking team. Yeah.
No, I mean Ilkay Gündoğan was there getting booze actually from. Well, here's another thing. Like when the game is in Germany, that's like that was a taste of the Euros. Turkey is like a home team. Like if you just turn the game on, you would have thought it was in Turkey, and it was not. It was in Munich actually, where the final is going to be. So there's a crowd advantage. Yes, Gündoğan was getting some serious booze, as he freaking should.
And I saw the moment. I think Kai Havertz, he was shielding the ball after he hit it, and he was shielding it, and it went out of bounds. I don't know if you remember that moment, but it was one of the top links on the soccer Reddit. Sure? It was Kai Havertz shielding the ball after he hit it out. He was trying to protect it from going out, but it was out on him. It just seemed like such a Kai Havertz thing to do. But anyway.
The brewery I work on looks like Santa's balls exploded here, he says. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. What the fuck?
Oh, okay. You can't imagine that in your head? There's nothing that pops up?
Honestly, no.
I'm imagining just red, white, and green banners and glitter and everything just all over the place.
Wow. Okay. See, I told you football flashback won it back. That's why he's happy. But by the way, we're going to celebrate, people. Do not forget that the Polish Prince has promised us cocktails to celebrate with. So we're gonna have the cocktail menu of our Polish Turkish restaurants revealed later today. So stay tuned. Bring your glasses. Let's get the party started. But by the way, going back to Friday, because I kind of like I couldn't make it because I was sick and everything, but I was still able to tune in. I just didn't have. I mean, my voice was even worse than my regular voice, so you figure that. So a horrible impression of me by John. I have to say it was pretty rough. I don't know if you caught the show.
I I went back because I had to watch it to find out what all the hubbub was about, and the closest thing that it resembled you was the Niners cap, which I thought was a nice touch. And I have no idea if he just has a Niners cap or if he went out and bought one for the show, which would have
No,
been
no, he's a
excellent.
Niners fan. He didn't go again. Oh, don't give him that much credit. No,
Poor
no.
guy. Wow. Okay. so I guess I can't give him that much credit, but yeah, I don't know. I felt like the one time I filled in and did an impression of you, I feel like I did okay.
That was better, and that says a lot, right?
Yes.
That says a lot. You know what? Who had a great impression? I'll give him this. Anand had a great impression of me, so I will give him credit on that one. He didn't have the props the 49ers had and stuff, but he had like a great impression, and I was impressed because most of Anand's characters, regardless of who they are, when he's doing an impression, somehow have like a fake Arabic accent. Even Thiago sometimes speaks in like a fake Arabic accent.
He's already living in Saudi.
He's just getting ready for the big contract, but generational wealth. But yeah, I'll give him credit for that. He did do a good job with that. So, but didn't get to talk about this, and I know it's been probably talked about to nauseum at this point. But we kind of had to talk about more about probably the aftermath. I think what's done is done, and I think we've kind of like voiced. I don't know if you ever got a chance to voice. Maybe you didn't because it came out afterwards. I know we talked about it when the rumors came out that this might be happening, 12 points and stuff like that. But what do you make of the Everton ordeal overall?
It's tough because I think the big thing with the charge being and everyone's talking about how quickly it was taken care of. This has been going on for a few years. Right. It's not one of those where, hey, this came out last week and then 2 days later it was all done already. This came out a few years ago, and Everton has had, as a club, has been completely transparent with everything they've done. They have cooperated every step of the way. And this is the end result off of that cooperation and that transparency of what they did. And is it enough? I don't know, because we don't really have much to compare it to. I think if this wasn't the first time that we had seen something like this, then there was a precedent set that we could then look at this and understand if this was in line of what we would expect the charges to be. The problem is now is how the Premier League is going to go forward if it finds that their bigger clubs like City and Chelsea, who have now rumored to have these possible, I mean, not City rumor, there's the right 114 charges, right?
Yeah.
But what kind of precedent does this 10 points for one charge set? Are you going to charge City with 1,100 point deduction? What is going to be equal and fair that makes sense? Or is it sort of like an amnesty thing where all of a sudden the Premier League goes, all right, that was it. That was the last time any of you guys do any of that. Moving forward, if this happens, we find it, it's going to be X amount of punishment. And then everyone else gets off scot-free, and Everton's sitting there like, hey, we're being sued by 4 clubs. What the fuck's going on? So I don't know if I answered your question specifically about Everton, but I think this opens up a rough can of worms, kind of going back to the VAR Klopp thing, wanting and when he said that he wanted a rematch or he wanted the game to be replayed, that we felt like it could have opened up a big can of worms that didn't necessarily need to be opened. This is going to come down the same way.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, right? I mean, everybody's looking at this where normally we would probably take joy in it. I mean, Sergi says, I want Everton to go down, but not like this, unless Manchester are heavily punished too. And I think that's where almost everybody is at, I think. Like this, and it's, in some ways, there's so much rivalries, fun to make poke, and it's always like -10 in some parts of Liverpool, blah, blah, blah. I saw like so many memes over the weekend. But at the same time, it's it just does not feel right or sit well because you see all this stuff happening all the time. And we were talking about this on the Discord yesterday. I mean, that statement says, we'll also monitor with great interest the decisions made in any other cases concerning the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules, basically meaning those 2 clubs there But that almost sounds like, you took your punishment, you're suspended, and then on your way out, you're like, I hope you get suspended too, though. And then, yeah, but I mean, is it going to happen? And it doesn't change your punishment in the situation there. And Ryan says, I was aggressively told by a City fan that their allegations, not counts or charges. I go with the smoke, fire, and the fact that it's taking so long and so many lawyers thing. If it was as easy as, you know, here it is, people, then it wouldn't have taken this long and it would be happening in the background. And then Ryan says he called him a dumb American. Yeah, Santa's balls must have exploded over there. I mean, that's the thing. I think we kind of know, right? It's just a matter of. But the thing I don't understand is, I know one. Why do they have to do 114 at the same time? Because everywhere what I hear is, this was one case. So, it's kind of like when you have like work to do. They're like, you look at it, you're like, oh, that's gonna take a while. I'll do this one. This is quick, real. And it looks like that's how they handled the Everton thing. There was like one case, so it's a lot faster. What's your guys' defense? And even then, it took a while. But they took care of that. Whereas the 114, they were like, hey, how about the 83rd one? Do you guys have the paperwork on that and stuff going? Why don't they just take it one at a time? Is it because they can only give so many negative 10-point punishments and they don't want to do that 100 times?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know how that goes. The only thing that I can possibly think of is that they're trying to build as big, or they're trying to build as solid of a case as they can for these charges, so that when it does get taken to the next step, the next legal action step, whatever that may be, is that what they have already in the foundation and in the framework of what they're charging them with is so sound that there's nothing that can be argued against it. Kind of where you build the case so well that there's no way that anything else gets dropped, and you're just sort of waiting to make sure all your ducks are in a row, and that you don't have to worry about anything else falling out. That's the only thing I can think of, because let's say you do one case at a time, and it turns out that case number 11 ends up being sort of a refute of what the first couple cases were, and then you have to go back and say, okay, well then was this case ever really actually fair? And then they'll go back and retroactively change what they did there potentially. Yeah. I don't know legally if that's how that works, but that's something that I would think is the only reason, is that they're trying to build it enough all together where they don't have to go back and then have to retroactively change anything.
But you would think in something like this, you want swift punishment, because it's not something you can go back on. Like, and I mean, I guess you can, but it doesn't do anybody any good. If they strip the title, let's say, right, from that season, and they're like, oh, Liverpool won it now. It's not like we're gonna like freaking like celebrate. I mean, we'll celebrate, but we're not gonna celebrate like we would have. And those moments are taken away from fans. So every day that you push this forward, you're taking moments away from fans who have to deal with the injustice. And not to mention, it's not a good look overall on the league. So this says a lot of their charges are repeat cases and not different incidents. And so the 115 basically is 115 times almost, like they did if they misrepresented this income here and then also here and stuff like that. But still, ultimately, it's the same charge, I think, but it's been done so many times, as opposed to, like you're saying, Everton almost is I feel like Everton is the guy who didn't have a lawyer, and like a court appointed lawyer is all they could afford. And they're like, you're just another case, bro. Let's just get a plea bargain and get the hell out of here. Kind of an ordeal.
And we can joke about that, but the reality is, especially here in the States, if you don't have a good lawyer,
oh yeah,
you're fucked. I mean, that's the thing. It's just, and it's not. It just comes to every facet of life. The more money you have, the more resources you have, the more apt you are at being able to get through whatever it is that you're fighting. And unfortunately, yeah, obviously these Premier League clubs have a lot of money. We're not going to sit here and say that Everton is poor, but the amount of money they have compared to the likes of the money that a club like City has, and what they can afford as far as lawyers go, Everton's getting the public defendant, that you get appointed to by the state, and City is going out and paying for the number one rated lawyer in the entire country, kind of deal. Like that's the analogy that you could use here in the United States.
But here's the thing: do you think, because Football Flashback says, even as a Liverpool fan, I have no doubt they'll stay up. They won 3 of their last 5, and this breach will only give them a boost to beat them. Like, I know what he's saying, and I agree. And I almost feel like Everton said, because honestly, when they won those games, and you looked at the standings prior to this, I wish I took a screenshot. But prior to this, it was like, oh, they're clear. Like they don't even have to, as bad as the bottom 3 are. They're like, oh, they don't even have to worry about relegation anymore. 3 wins was enough to set you up for like 3 months. Is how it looked. Do you think it's almost like Everton said, better now than later? Because definitely
or
better
earlier.
now than before. Like,
Yes.
like maybe they pushed it. They look at the standings. They're like, dude, look at Sheffield and Luton and stuff. If we're going to take the hit, let's take the hit now. So save money on the lawyer. Just get the 10 points and let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I mean, if that was what it came down to, is kind of what year it gets pushed through, then doing it last year would have been horrendous. Doing it this year is beneficial, and who knows what it would look like next year. And yeah, to Cersei's point.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is maybe like Everton, it could be that the Premier League is looking at it. They're like, dude, if you're gonna cheat, at least win something like City. What is this? You guys give me those 10 points. Go to your room, kind of a deal. Because yeah, I mean, to have the violations and to just use that to basically stave off relegation and still be in the shitter. I mean, it's not like they're clear coasting. I mean, like financial wise, in the long term, they're still going to have some struggles. They do have to make some ridiculously smart moves to kind of like moving forward. And I don't know. It's just like I say. Normally, I would take a lot more. I feel like the joy has been taken away from me, because normally I would really take a lot of joy in Sean Douche being where he's at, but
I
it
just
just
have
does not
this.
feel right.
I just have this fun vision in my head, to Cersei's point, of Sean Dyche just sitting there about 12:30 in the morning, just sitting on his couch, just going through the channels, and then seeing one of those lawyers come up. And then he gives the call to the chairman, go, hey, I found one. And they're like, okay, that's the one. Let's go. And it brings me that's what brings me joy, is just that vision in my head.
We should record our own commercial, our own infomercial. Like, have you been wronged by the Premier League? Are your points being taken away? Yes, we have to come up with like, dude, we should, the restaurant and stuff, we should make this like a whole global empire and use some other like a legal law company, Polish, Turkish,
God,
come up with something.
we're taking over. Move over, Pitbull. We're worldwide now.
But I mean, yeah, you look at the standings now. This is after the points have been deducted. Still doesn't look too shabby. And if you're Burnley and Sheffield, if you're Burnley, you're like, what the hell, man? They got 10-point deduction. We're still dead last. And I mean, it looks like Burnley is dead in the water, right? I mean, I guess
so disappointing.
they're
Isn't it?
so close that somebody is going to make it out of that bottom 4. And honestly, like just looking at the form, obviously you see the check marks there. But overall, just with the squad and having like I mean, as much as I hate him and his brand of football, I mean, having Sean Dyche is like a big plus over the others, right?
Yeah, yeah. At this point, I don't think there's any chance for Burnley or Sheffield United. I have more faith in Luton out of all 3 of those. I guess, yeah, all 3 promoted sides, just because I feel like, weirdly enough, when Luton play at home, there's that fierce magic that goes along with it. And this could just be bias because of what we saw happen at Luton, but I don't get the same feeling from Burnley and Sheffield. It just feels like they've been in the Premier League in the last few years. They've yo-yoed a little bit. Luton hasn't been here in a long time, or ever, I guess. So technically in the Premier League. So yeah. It's one of those things where if there's any of those that could nip Everton or Bournemouth, because I don't think Bournemouth is safe either. I think there's a fight for the bottom 5 there. I think Luton has the biggest chance, but that's just me saying that out of hopes more than actual reality.
See, out of those, aside from Everton, obviously, if I had to pick one to survive, I would actually say Sheffield United.
Yeah,
they do put in a performance here and there. Some of the games they've lost have been unlucky, like they should have gotten a point and stuff like that. Ryan says Everton will be fine. I think so too. But having said that, you look at their schedule coming up. So they have United at home, which I thought was, I mean, you got to figure after something like this, the crowd is going to be really behind them. I feel like this was my upset, especially in some ways where Everton gets something out of this game. But then they go to Forest, who is good at home. Then at home Newcastle, at home Chelsea. Then they go to Burnley, and then they have away Tottenham, and then home City.
Fuck.
This is like the rest of their year. So things could get ugly fast. I think the thing that's going for anybody on the bottom of the league trying to put up a fight is the fact that, everybody else sucks too. So, like, it's not like, oh man, we're only going to get 3 points out of this. Because you look at Sheffield United's schedule, for example, they play Bournemouth. That's a huge game this weekend. They play Bournemouth at home. Then they go to Burnley. Then they play us at home. Then they play Brentford at home. They play Luton Town at home. Like, the rest of their year looks a lot better. So I think, by the end of the season, we'll see. Ryan says, yeah, at least they can score goals. Yeah, you look at those right there. Burnley can too, I guess.
Yeah, but like they all have the same amount of goals. Burnley has one less.
I guess, yeah.
Luton and Sheffield both have 10 scored. Burnley has 9. I mean, Sheffield scored as much as Fulham, and pretty much Bournemouth. So I don't know. I wouldn't argue that they can score goals. I mean, yes, I would argue that they can score goals, but not at a more impressive clip than the other clubs because they're pretty much in the same realm of amount of goals scored as everyone else down there.
Part of it is, I think, like timing, right? So, I mean, you score a goal when you're down 4-0. It doesn't do you a whole lot of good. It depends on like what. I mean, look at freaking United, for God's sakes. I mean, they've scored.
Oh yeah, their goal differential is negative.
Yeah, they scored 13 goals and they're 6th. I mean, that's just ridiculous. By the way, if you're like one of the teams on the bottom, you're like, wait, how that doesn't even happen? Yeah, they're like 13 goals, but then they've only conceded 16. And you look at Burnley. That's one thing. I mean, you look at the standings. I think more than goals scored, and that goes back to Sean Dyche's play, but they've only conceded 17 goals, and you look at the teams around them, it's a lot more, like not even close. Yes. So that's probably why I feel like they will get draws. They will get the 1-1s, the 0-0s, and stuff like that. And they'll get like points here and there, whereas the other guys will not. So,
and Sheffield gave up 9 in one game. So to compare them giving up to the amount of goals that Burnley's given up, Burnley just looks that much worse because they're similar goals given up, and they didn't give up 9 in a single game.
That's pretty bad. I mean, I thought over time, so this is like that company was one of the best defenders in PL. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? It just does not translate like that. But I really thought they would, like Burnley, the way they started, kind of like how they were in the championship. It's nice and cute. And then I thought a month or two later, they were like, hey, man, let's be realistic. This shit is not really, like, we're not that good to be able to do that here as we did in championship because you're playing against better competition that's going to punish you if they catch you. And they have not. They're still rolling with it. So they're like, nope, it's going to turn around. I think, January, and here's the only thing, though. Let's talk about this. January will be big, right, in terms of who brings in what. And one thing is Everton is in no place to be able to bring anybody in, whereas you can see the other ones maybe adding really. I know we talked about defending and goal scoring and stuff, but you bring in a scorer, like somebody who can get you a goal here and there, that can really take you far, whereas Everton can't really afford to do that. So this is what they have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely. And I think given after this next month and a week, and seeing how the table presents itself going into January is going to give us a really good picture of what is going to be done moving forward. Because like you said, Everton's stretch of the next 6 Premier League matches is probably one of the most difficult stretch out of any club throughout any year. So it's rough. And so I can definitely see Sheffield or Burnley, if they can conjure up some results, maybe just like you said, bolstering up just enough where they can still preserve what they have without kind of giving in too much, and maybe not necessarily going the Forest route where they just bring in 15 new players and try to gel them in. Which, I mean, to Cooper's credit, they're not fighting for relegation this year, so he's getting the most out of them.
I mean, then again, he has 13 points in 12 games. That's like the thing. I think you can be below average and look pretty good this year because there's so much misery at the bottom of the table is what it's been. It's kind of like,
gap. Yeah,
you have the teams on top and you have like the really, really bottom one. So like the below rest of the league seems a lot more below average. I don't think you have a lot of, I mean, you look at the top 10, which I don't know, like you have some decent teams there that can play really good football, like Villa and Brighton and stuff like that. But the consistency comes into play. Villa is very consistent at home, but not away from home. But I mean, you look at that afterwards, it kind of cuts off, and the rest of it is really, really. I mean, Wolves. We were talking about, being almost in relegation and stuff like that, and look at where they're at with a couple of wins and draws and. Then this is where Everton was, and that's why I think it's kind of harsh. I mean, they were what? So they were 14, basically above Forest before the deduction. And honestly, like you just said with Forest, you're pretty much in the clear, it looked like. And this is kind of like a bummer in that sense. But I think maybe it doesn't feel as bad because, one, it's Everton. Two, it's Sean. But three, it feels like they still have a chance to get out of this. On a normal season, I think they would be on the bottom with one other team, and it would be two of them looking up.
Yeah, I agree.
So, so the weekend is coming up. I mean, we talked about some of the games, obviously, with like the relegation thing, but obviously the biggest one is going to be ours in the crack of dawn. It's going to be rough.
Why do they do this to us? 6:30 in the morning. Sorry if anyone's on the West Coast that I'm complaining.
Yeah,
they're still complaining.
Like, hey, jerk.
you guys can stay up for it. We have to get up for it. That's the difference.
I think so. Yes, right. Exactly. Just party all night and then just go into the game and then go to sleep. But and then we're driving to Indianapolis afterwards. Any recommendations in that area? I know Ryan was talking about being there. Pass it on. I did get some like insider info about some of the places, but Angie is a Colts fan, so we're actually going to a Colts game.
Oh, cool.
Should be interesting.
Where are they
playing? Tampa Bay, who 49ers just beat. So here's the question. Do I wear 49ers gear? Not like the jersey, like the full kit wanker thing going, but, like, do I wear my, 49ers?
I want everyone to envision Timothy with a Niners helmet, shoulder pads, with a Niners jersey, a Jerry Rice Niners jersey, not even anything remotely within the last 25 years, with big bulky pants on, and then actual just boots.
It is cold. It's probably you'll probably snow, whatever. Yeah, no, but I mean, it's okay for me to wear it. We were talking about this yesterday with Ange because she did wear when we went to the 49ers game at home, like last year. We went to the Arizona game. And she did wear 49ers gear. But to be fair, she's not as hardcore of a Colts fan as I'm a hardcore 49ers fan. She's a Manning-made Colts fan, if you know what I mean.
That's not, I mean, he started there in 98? I don't think that's not too bad, right? I mean, it's not bad.
If that's the right year, by the way, I'm going to be impressed.
I think it is, yeah. My NFL knowledge is weird, but earlier stuff when all I did was sit at home and just go online and just look at football players and soccer players and basketball players, and I would look up where they went to colleges just to remember all that stuff because it was stupid, and that's all I did. So I have some weird knowledge that dates back to those years, but I'm pretty sure. I'll fact check myself right now.
At the time, that's the first time I think she did. She was they were doing fantasy football at work or something like that, and they had Manning and Edgar and James, which obviously I think won them the whole shebang.
Well, and there was the Marvin Harrison.
That's when she really got into supporting them, and she became a fan. Ryan says, go neutral. See, I feel like if I go neutral, it's more suspicious. Like I'm from a rival or something like that. Whoever, I guess, who would be the Colts rival? like a New England
Well, I
Patriots?
mean, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't want to wear. Patriots would be okay, but I guess you wouldn't want to wear anything Jaguars, Texans related because it's
If
the
I
same
don't wear
division.
anything like if I wear a 49ers hat, especially since the 49ers are good, you would think they would be like, hey, respect. And then we would just go on. Nobody's going to be like, look at the fucking 49ers fan. I think I'd be fine. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to do the full kit.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
wearing
mean,
the
if
hat.
anything, they just beat the Bucks, right? So you're there
Yes.
to keep the beatings going.
And we injured a bunch of players for them. What else do they want, for God's sakes? But yeah, so they have no rivals. They're a bullshit team. So that's yeah, I mean, I don't know who their rivals are. Is it like Ravens because it was Colts at one point? I have no idea, but I feel like if I go neutral, it's gonna look more suspicious. I might as well like come out of my true colors.
I
And
also
go,
don't think
well,
NFL fans care that much.
You know what? Actually, the very first pro game I went to here in the US was a Bears Bucks game. Actually, I don't know what it is with like neutral teams like playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I end up in, and I remember this vividly. Like I think, and I'm only been in this country for like 2 years or whatever. So we go to the game, and there's a dude sitting in front of us. I think he was wearing like a Warren Sapp jersey or something. And
Nice.
that back home, that shit don't fly. You don't put another team's jersey and sit in the middle of the other fans. I was like, well, this guy's gonna get his ass beat.
And then
So
the
I
whole
think
game goes by.
that's when I learned that okay, it's not as brutal over here. And he was talking a lot of shit. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't even like he was kind of laying low wearing a Warren Sapp jersey. Like he would get up every time they had a play and stuff like that. I was like, man, you're lucky you're not in Istanbul because you would get your ass beat.
Loud and proud Buck, pretty much.
Okay, so what do we have? Oh wow, wait.
1998.
98, dude, that is impressed. I'm impressed. I'm
Thanks.
impressed with some random trivia knowledge. We should bring you on Monday nights.
He he was probably one of my favorite quarterbacks when I was still a really big NFL fan, he was probably my favorite quarterback.
You have left the NFL?
No, not left. I just don't pay attention to it as much as I used. Like I don't really have favorites anymore. I would enjoy. I mean, I'll turn on a Bears game every once in a while, but I'm not going to sit here. I don't care about their results. I mostly now care about fantasy and how my players do. That part of it, that's ruined the sport for me. So thankfully that hasn't ruined any other sport for me. But for me, NFL, I don't know. I tried, I think this was 2 years ago. I tried again, and there was just too much stoppage. I just couldn't do it. There were too many commercials, and
it's painful to watch.
Unless you go to the game, it's difficult to be so invested because all it is just commercial after commercial after commercial.
Yeah, and in the stadium, you don't even have that. So unless you have the environment and people around you to kind of like make it go.
Yeah.
Patriots and Steelers, I mean, Steelers, I guess. But isn't it Patriots just because it was Brady and Manning? I mean, really, are they still? I mean, they might be because Patriots kept beating them. But well, I'll do this here. I'll be next Monday. I will ask him this Saturday Sunday at the game. Hey, who are your rivals? Who do you guys hate the most?
Get a poll going.
Yeah, as they're like 49ers and that's just pummeling me. But yeah, I'll find out which team is hated the most. And Alan, how dare you even suggest that? Doing the 50-50, like I'm a mom or something like that.
You don't want to be Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce's mom?
And I'll bring Taylor Swift with me. Colts fans are the worst in all sports. 90% can name 3 players before Manning. Well,
Johnny Unitas.
That's the only one I have too. Because obviously Falk was afterwards, right?
Yeah. Dwight Freeney was probably around the same time.
Yeah, Freeney is like slightly after actually too. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest though. Hey, I wasn't even here, so I'm kind of like, my football knowledge.
That's a good excuse.
Around like 96, 97.
It's a good excuse.
And then Manning came over anyway. But okay, so Saturday, let's get back to that. I don't even know how we got. Oh yeah, because I was talking about going to the Colts game, and we just totally got off track over here, got into the NFL.
That's what Mondays are about, dude.
Which is probably better than talking about this game because you're. I am assuming. I mean, the nerves are going to be there, right? Which is why we have the cocktails coming up in a little bit over here.
Yeah.
To keep chugging down throughout the week. But how big of a game is this? Like, give me a scenario in terms of how would you feel if it's a tie, if we lose, if we win? If we win, are we automatically title contenders right off the bat?
Oh God, we're gonna have that back and forth the entire year. I we should consider ourselves title contenders if we can beat City.
Okay. A
I
draw.
title contenders.
Okay.
And
Well,
I
okay,
mean,
but you can't like
uh,
afterwards in January be like, "Oh, I know this was a rebuilding year." You can't do
yeah.
that.
Well, that's the thing that we've been saying, right? Is that before the season started, we were so comfortable understanding that as long as we're fighting for a Champions League spot, that's going to be a good expectation of ours because it is a rebuilding year and you can't expect that much. But given the start of the season and then the narrative started shifting, going maybe not so much rebuilding, look how quickly these guys have gelled together, we should go for the title, to now coming back going to, well, the Toulouse and the Luton game, whatever, we're just trying to find our footing, we're still rebuilding. I think we're going to end up saying that back and forth all year, and depending on how we finish, that's going to be what the year was, whether it was a rebuilding year or whether it was a title contending year ultimately. So I know this is a very Peter Schmeichel answer and one of our favorites that we like to bring up.
Football, anything can happen.
Yeah, I think what I'm least excited for is the fan reaction to the game. If it's a rough loss, I don't want to be on social media because it's going to get really toxic and really bad. I think that's the only thing I'm a little worried about is just the fan reaction on the internet. But that, I guess, you can't expect anything good from game to game anyway. You'll get plenty of overreaction one way or another.
Yeah, I think the good thing is, I mean, this Indianapolis thing in some ways came at a perfect time. It's like a weekend trip with the wifey. So if it is bad, I can just hit the road and just delete everything and not see it and stuff and hang out over there. And I'll be back Monday morning to lick our wounds with you or something like that in the morning show. But if we do win, I mean, I still do not think this is, as of now, a title contending team. Will it keep evolving as we go into December, January and stuff? I still see way too many chinks in the armor. I still see so many games where things could have gone south and just do not see the team that was before.
But here's my question for you though. Yes, we see weaknesses in this team, but could you also argue that the other teams that are contending for a title have those chinks in their armor as well? City, especially the game against Chelsea, I think they were exploited defensively. I think they were shown that they are not as strong as they have been. So is it possible that while we have our deficiencies, we can still contend for the title because other teams have their deficiencies as well?
No, that's fair. I don't think they're as good as, they were the years past, right? They're not going to run away with it. But like Ryan says, they're in bulletproof, but they're at least wearing the vest. Okay, let's go.
They can take a couple shots.
Yeah, they can take a couple of shots. They're wearing the vest. I feel like we're out there, just on the
running naked through the streets, like try and hit us.
I think that's like the difference there. I feel like that's the Dom says Stone's a big miss for City. They are, I mean, honestly, like when the whole Kevin De Bruyne thing, it's almost like semi-forgotten now. And this is what we do, right? Like, we're kind of like, oh, they lost that guy. I mean, that's pretty much their bread and butter. Anytime he got the ball, you were like, oh, shit, kind of a guy when he put the ball in the box and stuff. Holland probably would have another 10 goals if, like, De Bruyne was around. But I think it depends on, like, what we do. I don't see anything that's going to happen. See, Side is always complaining about FSG. Because even if Andre comes, I don't even think he just plugs in and runs. I don't think I have that confidence. Whereas I feel like the teams we're going against, let's go this way, are a bit more established. They're ahead in the building stage. I guess give credit to the City because obviously when you cheat, you don't get into a rebuilding stage. But Arsenal and stuff, they're like more of a built. The only thing that our team has, I think, you have a lot of people in there. There's a good balance of people who are hungry and people who know what it takes to win a title. You can count that as a plus. I just feel like I am not going to say we're a title contender and not back away from it until maybe like January, February. If I see us still where we are now, I'll be like, hey, this might be for real. I just feel like we're saying that now Yes, right. Sorry, Ryan. So your friends, for the smart Americans out there, it is only allegations. Yeah, but I think that's where I'm at because I don't want to be like, oh, we're in it now, and then like you lose. We're like, oh, it was rebuilding anyway. I almost feel like a lot of the fans are setting themselves up like that, where they're just gonna go flip flop, whichever way the wind is blowing.
Isn't it gonna just feel better that way though? just for your mind and your health, just to set yourself up for that already.
I mean, majority of LFC are confident that Andre could fit in. I guess, but who's major? I mean, honestly,
we
I
have
can
no
show
idea.
Yeah, we
We
have
have
no
no
idea how it's
idea.
gonna do. I mean, I could have shown you if you didn't know anything about Endo. I could have shown you a bunch of freaking like highlights from Endo. You could have watched a couple of Bundesliga games, and you'd be like, "This is the six we need." And then when we got him, you'd be like, "Oh, what the heck?" So it's kind of like the same thing. You don't know till the guy comes in to see if he fits the system, can handle the pace, how long it's going to take him to adjust. And I think we always forget. And as you hear stories from players, like foreign players that come to like UK, there is a huge difference in going to a different country and playing. I would feel less worry in that sense, I guess. I don't know where you're at with this. If Andre was coming from Ajax or like somewhere where he's already been there, done that in terms of going somewhere international and playing, right? As opposed to coming straight from Brazil because he's gonna have that adjustment period.
Yeah, I agree 100%. This week and this match against City, there's nothing FSG related about it. FSG, they brought in who they could bring in this past summer. Andre couldn't even come over this past summer. It wasn't a case of spending the money. It was just a case of he wasn't ready to come over, and the club wasn't going to sell him in the summer, but they would sell him in January. So there's no argument there to be made with Andre. And like you said, we have no idea how it would translate on the pitch at all. He could come and be the worst signing in a decade, or he can come and he can be the greatest signing in a decade. We don't know that, and we can't play this what-if game. The only game we can play is what can we do this week and what do we have available? And Klopp I think he has a good enough squad to compete with City this week, especially with Stones being out. With Holland potentially out, if not maybe just a little bit on the weaker side, given the ankle problem he had in the national break. So I don't know. It's just a frustrating thing to talk about FSG when there's literally nothing that will change that this week.
I think so too. I mean, I understand the 30-year-old Ando compared to 22. This doesn't really go with age, though. I don't know how old Fab was, but my point is, if the rumors were not there, aside from some Brazilian fans, no Liverpool fan would be like, there's this Andre guy who plays. He's the perfect guy. We just look at him now because of that. Endo, nobody looked at. I think that's the only thing that Endo has going against him. He never had this build-up. And so, like, if Andre comes in and plays like Endo, everybody would be like, oh, he needs time. He came to a new country, blah, blah, blah. There'll be a lot of excuses. We don't do that with Endo as much because we're like, hey, what the hell? Not to mention his age. We're like, you're 30 years old. You should be able to handle this.
You're 30. You should be able to speak English. Come on.
Which he does, to be fair.
He does, yeah.
With everything going on with other clubs, our owner seems like great ones. I mean, exactly. I think if this doesn't teach you that, I don't know what would, because what we're doing is being done, well, as far as we know, and we pretty much guarantee, I think, because obviously we're not standing over the top or anything like that, is being done with the means and the rules and stuff like that. And sadly, sometimes good guys finish last. And that's why I feel like, you don't want to set that tone in your league, and Premier League should act faster and not let this like linger on and have the good guys keep losing and the bad guys keep winning year after year. Doesn't matter if you go back and take those titles away. You just like promoting an overall. And I mean, we always make fun of Serie A and like how corrupt they are, blah, blah, blah. But hey, they punish Juventus. They don't care who the team is. They will punish them if the case is set.
And they were the league, right? They were the league in the 90s. And that was the Premier League. And I'm sorry, that's a bad use of the word. Obviously not the Premier League, but the Premier League around the world. And there's a worry that if things continue to trend the way that it does, England might find themselves in a similar situation where the league sort of just loses its credibility, and you move away from that, and then we end up like the Serie A from 20 years ago.
And that's why I mean, nobody thought at that time, like we were like, there's no way the money and stuff like that. Honestly, nobody thought at that time growing up, like Serie A would be like, one day it will be pretty much irrelevant kind of a thing. You thought that was never possible. This is the thing. How is it going to change? And I think, you would think Premier League will learn from that. I know the money issue has become tenfold since then. So it's a lot harder for another league to kind of move up those ranks. But see. Side was mad. He's like, I'll fold my arms. Hey, I wish. I mean, like I say, I'm not against the signing.
We're not against it. It's just that we can't do anything about it right now, right? It's not like Andre's going to come in this week and play against Cities. That's the only thing that I'm saying. I don't mind that you want Andre Ignacio in January. I think that would be great. But right now, what is it going to do?
That would be great. I mean, that would be great for the rest of the year and moving forward.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, you would address two huge issues. I don't see both happening. I wish, but hopefully one of them will happen. Here's a good one. God, I was trying to avoid these, but who's your front three for Saturday? Give me a quick front three. We will not have a show this Friday morning because we'll still be recovering from the turkey and all that stuff we figured.
No, Timothée is going to be out Black Friday shopping, be honest. You're going to be out elbowing old ladies trying to get microwaves.
That's mine, damn it. Get off, woman. No. We figured the audience
sounded so natural.
I figured like Cersei and Ryan and stuff would be like shopping around anyway. So our regular morning audience would be. I guess they could have watched it afterwards late at night too. But really, give me your front three because I do want the cocktails.
Dun, 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 dun. No.
Diaz.
I'm gonna go. This is gonna be weird. Diaz, Gakpo, Salah.
It's not gonna be weird because I'm kind of like torn on that concept for the pressing part of it, but Jota gives you that press. Jota, Gakpo, Salah. I really want to put the fear in, Walker with Diaz. I think that's one thing. And then I do like the Nunez, seeing them kind of panic when Chelsea was going at them with freaking Jackson. I feel like Nunez going at that back three would scare him. But I think I'm with Dom. I
especially the last 30 minutes. Last 30 minutes throwing Nunez out there against a slightly tired defense. I think that would be the way to go. As much as I think I'd like to see Nunez start, I think having him come off the bench in this game would be ideal.
So this is just the card. Let's just not because it's Well, this actually calls for a cocktail now to calm my nerves because Costa's playing left back is something I had forgotten for that game. What do we have for the cocktail?
All right.
What kind of a glass do we need first of all?
Well, these all come in different glasses.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know we had a full menu. I'm excited.
Yeah, there's 5 cocktails. I
left us more time. Go ahead.
It doesn't pair with the 5 meals, but it's just a cocktail menu that can change, right? That's what cocktail menus are about. You can change them, or they can become your steadfast staples. And so there's 5. I might need help with some pronunciations of Turkish words. But I don't have it like I had it last time, where it was just one after another. I just have the full 5. So. Try not to read ahead, even though it's going to be super easy to read ahead. But let me pop this up. I'm sorry. I was not prepared. Okay. Oh, me.
There we go.
Okay.
Fizz.
Çaykur.
Çaykur is the
the
main company that makes the tea. So
yes. Çaykur Fizz is gin infused with black leaf tea from Turkey. Or Turkey, sorry. A honey simple syrup with lemon juice and egg white. So it's sort of a foam. Have you ever had an egg white in a cocktail?
Honestly, you kind of lost me a little with gin, I'll be honest with you, but maybe with the black leaf tea.
You wouldn't taste the gin at all. It would be a creamy, soft experience in your mouth that you would come back for easily.
Honestly, as Costanza says, I can sense the slightest human suffering. So sometimes it drives Angel nuts, but I can taste something of like, what is there in the background? People are like, it's this, like something I hate. So I can, but otherwise it does. Yeah, I never had egg white. I probably would not even. Oh, you know what? What is the one with whiskey?
There's a whiskey sour.
Yes, I had it in that, and yeah, you don't taste the egg. So
Yep. The next one is not your nane's mojito. So
Nane, is that like
in Turkish, there's the nane limon. Is that what it is? Is that how you pronounce it? It's
Nane is like mint.
yeah. So it's lemon and mint that's pressed together.
Okay.
And so in the mojito, black currants, or in Polish, czarna porzeczka, is a very popular fruit. So what you do is you'll muddle the black currants and sugar at the bottom of the rim and the bottom of the glass, and you put in rum, the nane limon, which is sort of the lemon mint water, so to speak, and then some club soda to top it, and
Yes,
you get
please.
your Turkish Polish mojito.
Dude, that is good.
The
I like
next
that.
one, thank you. The next one is a kahve. Is that how you say coffee in Turkish?
Kahve.
Cafe martine, because I wanted to have sort of the yeah. So you take some Turkish black coffee.
Cheese level is up there.
Thank you. It's sort of it's an espresso martini, right? But you take Turkish black coffee, you take vodka, and you take Mr. Black coffee liqueur, and then you add a pinch of sea salt at the very end to kind of give it that nutty, salty coffee. Bring that all together. The next one is the Bloody Maria. Maria spelled in Polish. As you can imagine, it's a Bloody Mary. But here's a twist. You use turşu suyu.
Turşu suyu.
Turşu suyu. So it's, so from what I understood looking it up, it's sort of vegetables that are brined together. And it's a juice, and then also sort of a food, because you can eat the vegetables that are in this drink, right? If I remember correctly.
I know what this is. You
really?
lost me there. I mean, like turşu is basically pickles.
Yeah.
Turşu would be like, you can actually buy turşu, like there won't be anything in it. It would almost be like basically just the water out of the pickle. Like I think they probably add something so it's not as thick or whatever. You can actually buy that. It's a great thing and actually they have like turnip juice, which I'm a huge fan of.
That's okay. So that's what I thought. Because it says turşu suyu is made from pickled vegetables and pickle brine. Veggies range from beets, carrots, cabbage, cucumbers, onions, all that stuff. So taking that and just pretty much just mixing it with vodka, making it a Bloody Mary, but using that juice, and then garnishing it with a skew of the vegetables you typically put in the turşu suyu. Okay. And then the last one is a boozy boza.
Oh,
so
it's boza, a seasonal drink. I like it.
Yes. Could you explain to the listeners what boza is?
Boza is basically almost like a Turkish eggnog. Like it's kind of like seasonal in terms of like its nature. Like when it's boza season and stuff like that.
It's a little bit thicker, right?
So it is really, really thick. Like there'll be these dudes that go around like sell. It's usually like an evening thing, and then you actually have some like like chickpeas or whatever, like nuts and stuff like that. It's good stuff. But it's like in the context of it, I'd like the closest thing I can think of over here is eggnog. Not in terms of taste or anything, but in terms of like seasonality, and you're like, it's boza season or it's eggnog season kind of.
So I was thinking of a creamy coconut margarita that I make. So doing the boza instead of the cream of coconut, and then doing it with tequila, some lime juice, and Grand Marnier, which is pretty much just an orange liqueur. So that's the boozy boza.
Good stuff.
And then obviously Polish and Turkish beer available. So
and tea and coffee, like I just.
So that is that's sort of the.
I like how you put that at the end. And for the lame, we do have beer.
Well, not everyone likes liquor, so it is what it is.
Hold on, Ryan says, "May I suggest mezcal for the coffee martini? That big of smoke character. Holy cow, man! You guys are really into your alcohol."
The mezcal would be a nice touch. Yeah, I didn't even think of mezcal. I could probably do that. And I wanted one of each different liquor, but then in Turkish culture, whiskey isn't really big, and in Polish culture, whiskey isn't really big. So I kind of I didn't do anything whiskey. I mean, I don't want to say in Polish culture is like big,
a smug drink.
Yeah, there's not
always have like the bad guy in the movies. He always drinks whiskey.
Negative connotation with the whiskey.
Yeah, I mean, or like the over the top rich guy that'll just be like, just move them out of their houses.
What do you mean they can't afford groceries this week? Peasants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whiskey is not that big. I mean, Rucka would be like your more blue collar drink, which I don't like because, like I said, it's like black licorice and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, aside from the gin one, I'm gonna actually like. Well, Tushusu is gonna be fine, hard to find. I can find turnip juice here, but pickle juice is hard to find. But turnip juice, actually, there's a spicy turnip juice and a regular turnip juice.
Ooh,
Yeah,
spicy
the
would be
spicy. I mean,
perfect.
it's usually actually served with like when you go to like a kebab and stuff like that. It's usually like served with it. It's either that or I think somebody was mentioning it earlier. Serzi was saying ayran, which is like that yogurt drink.
Yeah,
So
and I saw that too. I just didn't know
I don't know
if
how
it
alcohol would work in that because I don't know if it would break up the
it would be
yogurt.
weird. It would be very weird. And then
Yeah, because I
consistency
don't
wise,
know.
I think it'd be too thick. And I just yeah.
I'll tell you what, Jasmine is coming on this weekend. She actually has like the ultimate margarita recipe she promised. So we're gonna try that watermelon jalapeno. So we're gonna give that a shot.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. I think my signature margarita is a spicy smoky margarita. You use mezcal and you do pineapple juice and fresh lime juice and agave syrup, and it's just perfect. Absolutely
Okay.
perfect.
Promises, promises. You know, we're only a couple of hours away. You can make this shit and bring it over. But yes, so this is a great lineup for everybody to try at home over Thanksgiving. Throw up that turkey with, and honestly, get ready for Saturday's game because it's gonna be. I'm getting like nerves built in. Usually, I get this before like a United game and stuff like that, but I don't even know why because I really do feel like it's too early for this team. But I just know that if we do win this one, I'm gonna be suckered in so bad for the title conversation.
Oh, I'm gonna be singing. We're gonna win the league.
And honestly, like maybe it would make me more of a believer, even though one game should not, especially the city, the shape they're in. But a lot of things worry me. The lack of six worries me. Left side with Costas worries me. I mean, here's the thing, we're looking at them and we're saying, oh, they don't have stones and stuff like that. They're looking at it and saying, they're like, dude, they're playing Costas as left back. So, and then, Trent is on right back, so they can feel like Grealish, Doku, whoever can really go at those guys and do something. But Cersei says I don't drink, but after Saturday's game, yeah, you know what? I just drink a couple before, and the game is gonna go so much smoother for you. Is what I'm gonna. I don't know if you want to drink that stuff 4:30 in the morning or drink all night and then just
You drink up to it. Yes.
Oh, okay. So this is good. We got to publish this somehow on the Facebook page and stuff like that because the recipes must be given. Do you have recipes on these ratios?
They would be pretty easy to come up with, just based off of just pure cocktail science in a way of alcohol ratio to any sort of other juices or components that you use. So yeah, I'd be able to come up with it.
Sider's more worried about who's going to play left back than he's like, the damn with your guys' cocktails. We need the left back. Yeah, I don't blame him. That's what the cocktails are for. Ryan says, I'm going to yell at my neighbors naked and drunk. Who's naked and drunk? The neighbors or Ryan?
Both.
Well,
for different reasons.
Mondays always go downhill so freaking fast. Once
downhill.
So as always, do not forget to like and subscribe. Liking goes a huge way. Like it goes a long way, not a huge way. Goes a long way, by the way. I do forget to mention it, but a simple like really helps the channel a lot. Obviously, subscribe, and more importantly, grabbing others to kind of like come in and follow us, introduce us to others. We don't really advertise or anything like that, so it's just more like a word of mouth is how the show has spread over the years. So invite others, and do not forget this week, like I say, it's like a little twist of a lineup because of obviously Thanksgiving. We will have the podcast tonight, and we will have the morning show on Wednesday. Otherwise, our next show is going to be in the crack of dawn, drinking those cocktails as a short pre-match before the game kicks off. So no shows on Wednesday nights. and Thursday this week due to the holiday. So have a great Thanksgiving. If I don't see you guys Wednesday morning, we'll be back Wednesday morning show. Otherwise, I'll be back tonight with the gang, hoping to have Bickler back in action as well. So the trio should be in full effect. Have a great Monday, everybody. Have a great week. And if we don't catch you on Wednesday, have a great Thanksgiving as well. Take care.